Good morning, first grade. This is Miss Onrun here, and I am super excited because today we get to read our Boom Frog and Toad Are Friends book. I am so excited, and I just love these books. These books are just fun. They're exciting. They're silly, and I just love them because they keep my attention. And who doesn't like a good book, right? So today we're going to be reading through Frog and Toad Are Friends, just the first chapter today. So if you want to read along with me, I will be reading the first chapter. If you want to pause the video and read it yourself and then continue to watch the video to go through the lessons, then we can do that also. Before we get started, I do want to tell you that the second Frog and Toad book is there for you, and you are more than welcome for this one and the other one to read through them ahead of time. That is perfectly fine. But we will each day be reading these together. So if you read them ahead of me, that is okay. We'll just go back and you'll be able to read them and go through the activities together. And if not, then we will be able to go through this together in our small groups and on our lesson videos. But before we get started, you know that I love jokes, right? So I have a joke for you. Are you ready? Okay. Why did the turtle cross the road? We don't know why, because he's still trying to cross it. That's how slow he is. I'm laughing at my own jokes here. Okay, good. So I'm glad you're here with me, and I'm glad to be reading Frog and Toad with you. Make sure that you have the Frog and Toad Are Friends story, and this is by Arnold. And these are just some fun books that we're going to be reading together. So if you open it up, you will see a table of contents. And so these are the chapters that we're going to be reading. And remember, the table of contents is where you can find whatever we're reading. So if I say flip to chapter 1, spring, you know that it's going to start on page 2. Or 4, I'm sorry, excuse me. So this is your table of contents. And this is a small chapter book that we are going to be going through instead of phonics together. All right, so I am going to go ahead and again read you the first chapter. You can follow along with me, or you can pause and read it yourself. All right, so turn to the first chapter, Spring, and let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. Chapter 1, Spring. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the door. There was no answer. Toad! Toad! Shouted Frog. Wake up, it's spring! Blah, said a voice from the inside of the house. Toad, Toad, cried Frog. The sun is shining. The snow is melting. Wake up! I'm not here, said the voice. And you should have your pictures, but just in case you don't, here's the story, the picture. Frog walked into the house, and it was dark. All the shutters were closed. Toad, where are you? Said Frog. Go away, said the voice from the corner of a room. Toad was still lying in the bed. He had pulled all the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of the bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. Help, said Toad. I can't see anything. You know how sometimes when you wake up and somebody turns on that bright light, it's like hurts your eyes? That's what happened. Don't be silly, said Frog. What you see is a clear, warm light of April. And it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Think of it, said Frog. We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim through the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on the front porch and count the stars. You can count them, Frog, said Toad. I'm going to be too tired. I'm going back to bed. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the picture. Toad went back into the house. He got into his bed and he pulled over the covers over his head again. But Toad, said Frog, you're going to miss all the fun. Listen, Frog, said Toad. How long have I been asleep? You've been asleep since November, said Frog. Well then, said Toad, a little more sleep won't hurt me. Come back and wake me up at about May. Good night, Frog. Silly Toad. But Toad, said Frog, I won't be lonely until then. Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. Frog looked at Toad's calendar. The November page was still on top. Frog tore off the November page. And he tore off the December page. And the January page. And the February page. And the March page. And then he came to the April page. Frog tore off the April page too. But it's still April. I wonder why he did that. Let's see. Then Frog ran to Toad's bed. Toad, wake up, wake up! It is now May. What? Said Toad. Can it be May so soon? Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar. The May page was on top. Why, it's May, said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in the spring. And then we are going to stop there because we are on chapter 2. So, don't peek to the next chapter until tomorrow. So, we're going to go ahead and stop there. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in the story and why they are so silly and who Frog and Toad are. So, go ahead and put your book to the side. And you should have a packet that looks like this that says Frog and Toad are friends. And we are going to be working through this packet together. And so, after we read each chapter, we're going to have some activities that we're going to do together also. So go ahead and flip to the first page. And it looks like a chart like this. And it says, Frog and Toad are friends story map. So this is your story map. And down the side are all the chapters. So we just read which chapter? Chapter 1, which was called Spring. So we are going to fill out the first row. Okay, so here's the chapter we just read. And we're going to fill out these boxes at the top. So the characters, who are the characters in the story? Frog and Toad. You're going to write it here. The setting. Setting is like where the story was. Where were they in the story? Okay, write that here. The problem. What happened? What was wrong? And the solution. How they fixed the problem. Okay, we don't need to fill out any of the rest of them because we've not read them yet. So as we read them each day, we're going to fill in our story map. So let's go ahead and let's do this together. I'm going to bring you down so you can see what we're working on. So, the chapter, we're in spring, and the characters. Who are the characters? Frog and Toad. Frog and Toad. So far, at least, right? The setting. Where was the setting in this chapter? Toad's house. Yep. And you might even say on the front porch. That works, too. If you can fit it on there. All right, let's go to the problem. What was the problem in this story? Yeah, we couldn't get Toad out of the bed. All right, so let's put Toad wouldn't get out of bed. And so what was the solution? How did they fix that problem? If Toad didn't get out of the bed, what did they do to make him get out of the bed? Frog, what did he do? Frog tore his calendar until it said May, right? Because then when he tore it off all the way to May, he came back and he said, Toad, wake up, it's May. And he was like, what? Because remember, he said, don't wake me up until it's 1/2 May. And so that's whenever Frog had this wonderful idea. He's like, I'm going to trick him and get him to answer these, right? To wake up so he can have some fun. All right. So on that page, that's all we had to do. That's what it should look like, filled out in the first row. We'll come back tomorrow for the next one. So go ahead and flip to the next page. We're going to work on these 2 pages today. And it says, after reading the first chapter, Spring, write some words to describe each character in the bubble map. So we have Frog and Toad. So we need some words that describe these characters just for right now. Now we're going to get to know these characters a little more. But what are some words that would describe them? Go ahead and pause the video. And I want 4 words for each. So a word that might describe Frog would be Energetic. Don't you think he's energetic? Energetic. And I will bring you back down here so you can see. So on mine I put energetic because he was like, frog, frog. I mean, toad, toad, wake up, right? How else would we describe frog? Happy. And you can come up with words that are different than mine. You do not have to have what I have. What's another word that we could describe frog as? Friendly. He's trying to get his friend out of bed, right? Friendly. I'm out of space here. I'm writing too big. And give me one more word that might describe frog. What do you think? He's energetic, happy, friendly. What do you think? Let's come back to it. We can come back to it. All right, let's go to Toad. What are some words that would describe Toad, his character? Grouchy maybe at the beginning. Grouchy. He was still friendly. He liked his friend. He was tired. What else could we put? Unhappy. He was not wanting to wake up. But at the end, he was happy too. Unhappy at the beginning because he didn't want to wake up. And we could even say sleepy. So I want you to find two. One for frog. One more describing word for frog. And one more describing word for toad. All right. Once you have those, great job. You are done for today for our phonics lesson for our literature, frog and toad. So make sure that you have done your bubble map to describe the two characters. And you have filled out your story map like we did together after reading. All right, friends, I hope that you enjoyed the first chapter of Frog and Toad. I hope that you come back tomorrow to work with me to read chapter 2 to see what happens. All right, stay tuned and I will be in touch with you. Bye-bye, friends.